In a world where police officers are criminals and doctors are murderers, no one can trust anyone. Harold Frederick Shipman, also known as Fred Shipman, was an English general practitioner and serial killer considered one of the most prolific serial killers in modern history, responsible for murdering more than 200 people under his care. How did this ruthless criminal's mind work, and how did he manage to murder so many people without ever being caught? This is the story of the evilest doctor to ever walk the earth. Shipman was born on January 14, 1946, on the Bestwood Estate in public housing located in Nottingham. He grew up in a devout Methodist family with his 3 siblings who lived alongside a future serial killer without even knowing it. His father was a truck driver who spent most of his days on the road while his mother cared for the family. That's why the bond between Shipman and the woman in the family was that much more special. When the woman became ill with lung cancer, Shipman nursed and cared for her, refusing to lose one of the most important people in her life. Unfortunately, life had other plans for the family. In the final stages of her illness, a doctor administered morphine to her mother, and Shipman witnessed her pain subside. Despite this, she died after a painful agony in her 43rd year. However, the image of the doctor administering morphine remained etched in Harold Shipman's memory. That will begin his criminal career and modus operandi for murdering his future patients. For the next 2 years, Harold tried to cope with the loss of his mother through sports. He became vice captain of his high school track team while on drugs. Drugs were a big problem in Harold's life. Some of his classmates saw him as a pleasant and good student, but others described him as violent and aggressive. These erratic behaviors were compounded by a daily cocktail of drugs and narcotics that Shipman consumed daily. In 1965, he decided to study at Leeds Medical School, where he met his first wife, Primrose Oxtoby. During his first year of studies, his best became pregnant, so they decided to get married. This marriage would give Harold 4 healthy children. In 1970, Shipman completed his undergraduate degree. During his residency at Pontefract General Infirmary, he won the approval of both colleagues and patients. Unfortunately, things were very different at home. While Harold looked like a nice person at the hospital, he was a sour and angry character as soon as he returned to his family. Outside of his marriage, Harold always came across as a helpful person. He was a very competent and hard-working professional loved by all his colleagues and patients. Middle-aged and elderly women loved Harold for his friendly manner and a big smile, and many considered him a friend because of his friendly and approachable manner. But behind his good-natured countenance hid a serial killer whose bloodlust had him unhinged. In 1975, the doctor was caught forging prescriptions for morphine for his own use and fined £600. A year later, he was arrested for falsifying documents to obtain meperidine, a narcotic analgesic that relieves medium to severe pain. The court sentenced him to rehabilitation in a specialized center. So after recovering, he began working in various hospitals, including a Hyde Medical Center. At that time, Harold could no longer control his murderous impulses and began to devise a plan to kill his patients. His first proven victim was Eva Lyons. From that first death, Harold gradually committed murders to not arouse suspicion. His methodology was always the same. He chose the patients he disliked, who were generally women over 75 years of age, and then went to their homes and administered them a powerful dose of morphine. Whether they suffered from mild, moderate, or chronic ailments, Shipman ensured that his victims would not survive his visit. The visits occurred when the patients were home alone to avoid leaving witnesses. After injecting the lethal dose, he would leave and wait to be notified of the patient's death. He would then issue a death certificate claiming the victim had died of natural causes. If the family chose to cremate the body, a second physician would examine the corpse to verify the causes. Curiously, most of the victims' families chose to cremate the bodies. Then how is it possible that no one caught this ruthless killer? Unfortunately, the doctors who were supposed to corroborate the causes of death of the victims confirmed Shipman's certificate without any process of study. In other words, the negligence of all these professionals allowed the criminal to continue murdering his patients for 25 years. The systematic murders began when Harold opened his own practice in 1992. Over 5 years, he treated more than 3,000 patients and more than 10% died under bizarre circumstances. So much so that in one block, he murdered 7 different people. According to an official report, Shipman murdered 37 patients in 1997, and in 25 years, he certified the death of 521 people. In other words, the number of victims may be much higher than we think. Harold acted with complete impunity in breach of all rules and protocols. One of them was to inform the coroner if a patient died 24 hours after admission to the hospital. Despite this, he never reported what actually happened. That is why the police started investigating him but did not have enough evidence to arrest him. This may have been because the officers had little experience and no medical knowledge to catch him. However, Shipman made a blunder that will put him behind bars. On June 24, 1998, 81-year-old Kathleen Grundy, a former mayor of Hyde, died at her home after being visited by Shipman. The victim's daughter and rightful heir, Angela Woodruff, went to the notary to draw up the will and found her mother's last will. According to her, the elderly woman not only disinherited her before she died, but left her entire fortune to her doctor. In this way, Shipman made the stupidest mistake of his career and embarrassed himself. The young woman quickly denounced Dr. Shipman, claiming he had financial motives for murdering her mother. Little did she know that what motivated the doctor most in life was not money, but the joy of taking the lives of others. After that, Commissioner Bernard Postles reopened the investigation. After exhuming and analyzing the former mayor's body, traces of morphine were found. In addition, the investigation led to the unearthing of 12 other patients who had previously been treated by Shipman. When comparing the analysts, all the studies agreed on the same thing. They had been killed by a high dose of morphine. On September 7, 1998, the police arrested Shipman. During his first statements to the officers, he claimed he was a god because he could choose who to cure or kill. The most frightening thing about his statements is that he truly believed his words. He thought he was a superior being to those around him. During the investigation, authorities discovered a common pattern in the other bodies they investigated: morphine overdose. With this information, the trial against the serial killer began. However, at the time, the justice system believed that the list of victims amounted to little more than a dozen. No one suspected that Shipman could have taken the lives of so many patients and gotten away with it for so long. After multiple psychological studies, experts discovered that Shipman was fully aware of his actions and did not feel empathy. They also found that his mother's painful death drove him to become a doctor to decide who deserved to live or die. On January 31, 2000, the jury found Harold Shipman guilty. At the time, the justice believed that Shipman had only murdered 15 people. Nevertheless, the judge sentenced him to 15 consecutive life sentences and suggested he never be released. However, a subsequent judicial investigation by the Supreme Court Justice Janet Smith revealed chilling facts. According to police and medical reports and the testimonials of the victims' families, the justice examined 888 deaths of Shipman's patients. The investigation concluded that at least 215 patients had been killed by Harold, although the figure could be as high as 260 victims. The doctor died in his Wakefield prison cell less than a year after the last inquiries into his criminal life. According to police, he took his own life by hanging himself with his bedsheets. Shipman's death caused a serious scandal, not because he committed suicide, but because his widow received £100,000 tax-free and a lifetime pension of £10,000. In the meantime, no one offered support or comfort to the victims' families. Harold Shipman's story is frightening. It shows what a psychopath can do while on the loose in a flawed system full of negligent people whose mistakes cost the lives of others. That's it all for today. I hope you liked this video. If so, subscribe to the channel and smash that notification bell to watch more amazing content. Thanks for watching. Until next time.